you don't know who I am, my name is Dee Stevens from thecreatedrelationship.com, and I help singles and couples who want to have the relationships of their dreams. I primarily focus on communication skills, and I also do speaking engagements, and I've written and published The Created Relationship. So you can get that on Amazon if you're interested in the book. So today I'm going to give you some advice on what you can do to get along with your in-laws. And even if you don't have any trouble getting along with your in-laws, you never know if somebody's going to marry into your family. They're one of your children or your brother or sister, and you're going to have difficulty with them. So I'm hoping that you can get something out of this as well. All right, I am talking about in-laws and getting along with in-laws right now because this is something that I see show up in my groups all the time. So I participate in many different groups with couples and singles, and some of them, they mentioned that, they wouldn't have even gotten married if they had known their in-laws beforehand. So this is a topic that people struggle with. And I've helped many people with it because sometimes it takes really difficult conversations around this. And this is something I would also recommend my communication game plan as well to help you with that. If you don't have a copy of that, I will leave a link on how to get that. It's free, comes with a little seminar. Also, I'm covering this topic because I have to admit, I didn't always get along with my in-laws. When I was going out with my first boyfriend back in high school, I remember a time that I was driving and he was not, and he had a curfew, and I had my own thoughts about, we're 18, he shouldn't have a curfew, he shouldn't have to be in by 10 o'clock. I had all kinds of ideas about that and thought I was right. But what happened was I ended up on the bad side of my mother-in-law to be. She turned out to be my mother-in-law later. And I found that it was really hard to earn that trust back. I was the one who had gotten her son into some trouble, and I turned out to have to do things like send her flowers, admit that I was wrong. But in the long run, it just took a long time of really working at it and gaining her trust and knowing that she was the sort of what I call expert on who he was and what he needed. And I had to respect that for a long time. Like I say, I've had my own share of this, and so this is where all this comes from. So here's to the advice part. First off, I want to say they are your family now. Your in-laws are not outlaws, they are your family. If you married into this relationship, you've now gained a new mother, father, and brothers and sisters, and you can't help it. They're part of your family. When my daughters, get married, whoever they marry, they'll be part of my family. They'll be my sons or my daughters. Who knows? Anyway, but I always see the people that my daughters date as possible family. So, and I treat them with that kind of respect as well, because I never know where they're going to end up, because they could be family. All right, the next part I'm going to talk about is if somebody does not care for you, they may have some unmet needs. That's where all issues come from, is unmet needs. Now, most of the time I deal with unmet needs between a wife and her husband, and and we work through things that way. But other family members can have unmet needs too. Maybe they want to have grandchildren and you don't want to have grandchildren. Maybe you want to move closer to your family, and that means taking their son or daughter away from their family. So, and in the long run, these cause issues, and these are unmet needs that your in laws may have with you. And it's always best to kind of work these out with them and see what you can do, and come up with game plans around this and compromises, and just be willing to work with them, because you realize that you may have a son or daughter as well who will have somebody who takes them away as well. What I want to say too about in-laws is they really only, for the most part, want their loved ones to be taken care of. Just like I want my daughters to be taken care of. I don't want some man to come abuse my daughters or mistreat them in any way. And that's what I want. I want the best for my daughters. And if you're struggling with an in-law, then just know that probably what they want is they want the best for their family member. They want to know they're taken care of. They want to know that they're safe. They want to know that they're with somebody who just sees them as the most important person in their lives. And most of the time, just by taking care of your partner, you are taking care of your in-laws. But the thing is, that could take some advice. Like, you could go to your in-laws and ask for advice on how to take care of them better, or even ask them what it is that they're needing, or to show how you can take care of that person much better than what you are doing now. And those conversations can sometimes be difficult, but to hear, because maybe you're going to hear something that you didn't exactly want to hear. But in the long run, you're going to be glad you had those conversations, because the love of family is more important than anything. Another reason why they may not trust you or care for you could be that your spouse has been talking behind your back to them. Like, if your spouse always runs home every single time you have a fight, or calls them up and complains about you all the time, then your in-laws start thinking that you are a bad person for them, for their child. And then they start to turn against you, because all they do is they want what's best for their children. So it might take having a conversation with your spouse about what they're going to their parents with and what they're not going to their parents with. If they have issues in the relationship, they need to be turning to you and not their family members all the time. And this could take conversations that your spouse needs to clean up with his family or her family. They might have to go to their family and talk about all the good things that you do for them, and start saying more of the good things and less of the bad things. Now, they may be used to always turning to their family for help with whatever they need help with, but it's time to turn that around and start turning to you for these things. And this is a conversation you may need to have with your spouse. Now, it's okay to have boundaries with your in-laws. You don't want in-laws who are constantly in your life trying to control things, trying to show you how to parent your children. Maybe you need boundaries on how long they live with you. I did have a sister-in-law live with me recently, and that was difficult on our relationship. So you need to work these things out and have certain boundaries amongst yourselves. And all of this takes clear communication with your spouse and clear communication with your in-laws on what you need and what they need. And like I say, communication is always key. That's why I have the communication game plan that I'm going to leave information on so that you can get your communication game plan. I also have a brand new workbook out. It's free for the moment. It's got a lot of work that has been put into it that you can use to have that unbridled communication with anybody, especially your spouse. And I'm offering that for free right now because I want people to get it into the hands of people so they have a chance to use it and see how it works and give me some feedback on it. Anyway, I hope you are all doing well during the summer, and I will see you next week. Bye-bye.